And we're now recording. All right, so just like the previous days, we won't meet that long unless anybody has questions. So if you think of questions, be ready to bring them up. If not, we're going to quit early, most likely. All right, so last time I'm ever going to refer to this calendar, as it were. Okay, so we've reviewed exams 6 and 1 on Tuesday, yesterday 2 and 3, today 4 and 5. You can get by with studying just that for the final exam Monday. So our next meeting will be the final exam. That's all we do. No new material, obviously. So you have from 11:10 to 1:40, our regular starting time, but you get to last until 1:40. Okay, to study for the final, just study the previous exams, and I've been going over them. Most likely scenarios, I'll pick maybe 3 questions from every test. 3 times 6 is 18. Maybe throw in a couple more for a grand total of 20. Okay, as far as formula sheets, you can bring all the previous formula sheets. So you can have up to 6 formula sheets, 1 for each test. If you want to add to it, you may. If you still have the old ones, just bring them in. If you lost them, just reconstruct another one. That'll be fine. Okay. There's nothing to turn in. You don't have to turn in any homework. Don't look at the homework anymore. You don't need to look at the book anymore. So don't worry about it. Just look at the exams that we have. Okay. Right. So you might ask, I literally just have to look at exams 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yes, that's all you have to do. I'll give you questions that are very similar to them. Okay. I mean, if I said study everything, well, that's too much to say study everything. You know, the book was big and all that. So we'll narrow it down a little bit to just material from the previous exams. Okay. And then we'll be done by 1:40 on Monday. Okay. So any quick questions before we go ahead and start? We check the chat. I don't see anything in the chat, so we'll go ahead and start. Okay, again, I'm supposed to say it. So I have office hours next week, Tuesday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. by email. I know it doesn't really make sense because you've already finished the exam by then, but legally I have to say it, so I said it. So there we are. And I sent it over Canvas announcements. And if I have time and I remember, I'll send it over Canvas announcements again. All right, so without further ado, we'll get right to what we got to do. Okay, so most of the rest was a review of trig. Okay, so exam 4. Quickly through the questions, and I think it's easier if I just stay on the left side here, focusing on that. And then the questions continue on the right side. Again, try to ignore all the red stuff that I have there. Okay, number 1, 300 degrees multiplied by pi over 180, 5 pi over 3. Number 2, x is 4/5. You're in quadrant 1. X squared plus y squared equals 1. 4/5 squared plus y squared equals 1. 16 over 25 plus y squared equals 1. Subtract 1 minus 16 over 25 is 9 over 25. So y is 3/5. So the ordered pair is 4/5, 3/5. Okay, x coordinate is cosine, y coordinate is sine. So sine of theta is 3/5, cosine theta is 4/5. Tangent is sine over cosine, 3/5 divided by 4/5. Shortcut is to knock out the 5, so 3/4. And you reciprocate. Cosecant of theta is 5/3. Secant of theta is 5/4. Cotangent of theta is 4/3. Number 3, so we have 17 pi over 6. 17 pi over 6 is 12 pi over 6. That's 2 pi, go all the way around once, plus another 5 pi over 6. So it lands in the same spot as 5 pi over 6. Okay, draw myself a little angle here, and looks like the y coordinate's a half, which means the x coordinate is radical 3 over 2 plus or minus. In this case, is a negative. Okay, as for the cosecant, which is 1 over the sine, the sine we said was a half, so 1 over a half, answer is 2. Number 4, prove the identity. So cosine A times secant is 1 over cosine A minus cosine A. 1 minus cosine squared A, which is sine squared A. So that takes care of that right away. Okay, number 5, told AC is 4, BC is 3. The hypotenuse will be 5. BC squared plus AC squared is equal to AB squared. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, equals AB squared. 25 is AB squared, AB is 5. It's a 3, 4, 5 triangle. Okay, so sine of A, opposite over hypotenuse is 3/5. Cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse is 4/5. Tangent of A is that divided by that. Once again, the 5 cancels out, you get 3/4. In case you're wondering, you might think the numbers look very similar to this. They are. Pretty much, you pretty much just copy this. So 5/3, 5/4, 4/3. Okay, number 6, draw a unit circle. We have 5 pi over 3, which is over here. Looks like x is a half, y is the other number, which is radical 3 over 2, except it's negative. Secant is 1 over the cosine, 1 over a half, it's also 2. Okay, 7, graph of y equals sine x, 0, 1, 0, -1, 0, 1. So the first 2 places where the y coordinate is 1 are pi over 2 and 5 pi over 2. So pi over 2 comma 1, 5 pi over 2 comma 1. Number 8, the amplitude is 3. Period is 2 pi divided by 2, which is pi. Shift 5 pi over 4 to the right and 1 up. So the range, the normal range is from -1 to 1 for either sine or cosine, multiplied by 3 and add 1. So you're going from -3 to 3 plus 1. So -2 to 4 is the range. Midline of y equals 1. And then 1 period would normally go from 0 to pi, but you're adding pi over 4, you're moving pi over 4 to the right. So pi over 4 to 5 pi over 4 is what we want. So that gives me this graph. So pi over 4 to 5 pi over 4 is 1 period, maximum of 4, midline, minimum -2, midline, maximum. Okay, number 9, amplitude is 5, period is 2 pi divided by pi over 2. That's 2 pi divided times 2 over pi. That comes out to be 4. The range is -1 to 1 times 5, or -5 to 5. And 1 period from 0 to 4. We're told to go from 0 to 8, so that's going to be 2 periods. So it's a sine type function. So 0, maximum of 5, 0, minimum of -5, back to 4, and then just copy and paste to get 2 periods. Okay, number 10, take the cotangent and shift pi over 4 to the right. Cotangent is decreasing, looks like this, 0 to pi, pi over 2 is 0, quarter of the mark, 1, 3/4 of the mark, -1, and shift the whole graph pi over 4 to the right. So this moves over like so. So here's pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, and the graph looks like so. And that was that test. Okay, so let me show you the answers again quickly. Yes, I know I'm going fast, but you've seen it all before, right? And the video is already out there somewhere, right? So I'm just making it more convenient on you. And of course, you can look at the video, and if I'm going too fast, you can pause, rewind, fast forward as much as you want. The usual. And there's 10. Okay, that was test 4. I've got test 5, and then we're finished, folks. Let me check the chat. Okay, Dimitri. Okay, got you, Dimitri. I'll get you later. All right, so all we have left is exam 5. We're pretty much finished. Okay, so again, Tuesday I showed you exam 6, the one that we mostly did, and 1. Yesterday, 2 and 3. And I'm done with 4. I'm just going to do 5. And if nobody has any questions, that's it. And I'll see you for the final exam. Okay, so again, why don't I just go down the left side and then go down the right side. and ignore all the red stuff. Okay, number 1, sine of alpha is 12/13. Alpha is in quadrant 2. That means the cosine is negative. Sine squared alpha plus cosine squared alpha equals 1. 12/13 squared plus cosine squared alpha equals 1. 144/169 plus cosine squared alpha equals 1. 169/169. Subtract cosine squared alpha is 25/169. Square root property. Cosine of alpha is negative because we're in quadrant 2. Negative 5/13. Okay, then we have cosine of beta is negative 3/5. Beta is in quadrant 3. That means sine is also negative. Sine squared of beta plus negative 3/5 squared is 1. Negative 3/5 squared is 9/25. Sine squared beta plus 9/25 equals 1 in the form of 25/25. Subtract 16/25. Take the square root, include the negative because I'm in quadrant 3. Sine of beta is negative 4/5. Then I use the formula, sine of alpha plus beta. Put these on your formula sheets if you haven't already done so. Sine alpha cosine beta plus cosine alpha sine beta. So I just pick them off here. There's sine alpha, cosine beta, sine beta. Just plug them all in. So sine alpha, cosine beta, cosine alpha, sine beta, negative 16/65. Okay, number 2, cosine of theta is 24/25. We're in quadrant 1. Everything's positive. Sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1. Square this, you get 576/625. Subtract sine squared alpha is 49/625. Take the square root. Sine of theta is 7/25 because I'm in quadrant 1. Use the identity. Sine of 2 theta equals 2 sine theta cosine theta. 2 times sine of theta cosine theta, 336/625. Number 3, tangent of A is negative 4. Tangent of 2A, use the formula. 2 tan A over 1 minus tangent squared A. 2 times negative 4 over 1 minus a negative 4 squared. Negative 8 over negative 15, 8/15. Number 4, use the formula for cosine, cosine 70 degrees, cosine 20 degrees. Look it up on your table. 1/2 cosine of 70 minus 20 degrees plus cosine of 70 degrees plus 20 degrees. That's cosine 50 plus cosine 90, but cosine 90 is 0. So the best final answer is 1/2 cosine 50 degrees. Number 5, look for a formula that goes sine minus sine. 2 cosine, the sum divided by 2, pi over 5 plus 3 pi over 10 divided by 2. Then sine of the difference divided by 2, pi over 5 minus 3 pi over 10 divided by 2. Clean this up. Comes out to be pi over 2 divided by 2. This is going to be 2 pi over 10 plus 3 pi over 10, which is 5 pi over 10, which is the same as pi over 2 divided by 2. There's a cosine here. Sine of 2 pi over 10 minus 3 pi over 10 is a negative pi over 10 divided by 2. Okay, you can take that 2 and slide it down with that 2, giving me a 4. And you can take that 10 and slide it down with the 2, giving me a 20. So 2 cosine pi over 4, sine of negative pi over 20. Cosine pi over 4 is radical 2/2. Sine is an odd function. The sine of negative an angle is negative the sine of the angle. So best final answer, 2 cancels that to negative radical 2 sine of pi over 20. Number 6, factor cosine x, 2 cosine x plus 1 equals 0. That means cosine x is 0 or 2 cosine x plus 1 is 0. A little bit of algebra. Cosine x is negative 1/2. Okay, so where's the cosine 0? Here and here. That's pi over 2 plus k pi, or to get multiples of pi. So pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 5 pi over 2, and so on. Okay, where is the x coordinate on a unit circle -1/2. That's here and here. So that's going to be 2 pi over 3 and 4 pi over 3. So final answer, x is pi over 2 plus k pi, or 2 pi over 3 plus 2k pi, or 4 pi over 3 plus 2k pi. Number 7, cosine of inverse sine of 4/7. Find cosine of theta. So let theta be inverse sine of 4/7, which means sine of theta is 4/7. Draw a triangle. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Figure out the adjacent. X squared plus 4 squared equals 7 squared. X squared plus 16 equals 49. X squared equals 33. X is radical 33. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Radical 33 over 7. Okay, so that's 1 through 7. Let me show that to you quickly again, focusing in case you didn't focus properly. Again, everything here is redundant. This should already be in a video prior somewhere. And you hopefully can still find, the exams themselves, but I'm just making it more convenient for you here. All right. Okay, 8, 9, and 10, and then we're done, folks. Okay, 8, we have a picture, 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 10. Okay, so law of sine, sine of 60 degrees divided by 10 equals sine of 30 degrees divided by x. Cross multiply, x sine of 60 degrees equals 10 sine of 30 divided by sine of 60. X is 10 times sine of 30 is 1/2 divided by radical 3 over 2. 10 over radical 3, it's about 5.77 feet. Cosine of 30 degrees is 10 over y. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So I can switch these two. Y is 10 divided by cosine of 30, 11.55 feet. That's AB. Okay, number 9, you're given 60 degrees and 45 degrees. You're automatically forces you to get 75 degrees. And you're given that A is 12. So sine of A over A equals sine of B over B equals sine of C over C. So sine of 60 degrees divided by 12 equals sine of 45 degrees divided by B equals sine of 75 degrees divided by C. Cross multiply right here. B sine of 60 degrees equals 12 sine of 45 degrees. Divide both sides by sine of 60 degrees. B is 9.80. And then cross multiply here. That times that equals that times that. So C sine of 60 degrees equals 12 sine of 75 degrees. Again, divide by sine of 60 degrees. C is about 13.38. So here is the triangle solved. So the angles A, B, and C are 60 degrees, 45 degrees, and 75 degrees. And the sides are 12, 9.80, and 13.38 centimeters. Okay, last one, number 10. So the three sides are 7, 8, and 9. Find the angles. So red was not given. You were given 7, 8, and 9. Usually it's best to start with the largest angle, which is opposite the largest side. So C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of C. Plug in. C squared is 81. A squared is 49. B squared is 64. Minus 2 times 7 times 8 cosine of C. Subtract 49, subtract 64, and divide by -2 times 7 times 8. That comes out to be 0.28, which is cosine of C. Hit inverse cosine, and C is 73 degrees. And now that you have 73 degrees, you could switch back to the law of cosines again, but law of sines is a lot faster. So sine of A over A, sine of A over 7 equals sine of 73 degrees divided by 9. Multiply by 7. Sine of A is 7, sine of 73 degrees divided by 9. It's about 0.74. Hit inverse sine, A is 48 degrees. And yeah, once you have two angles, then don't do anything else. Just take 180 minus the sum of the two. And the third angle has to be 59 degrees. So the angles are 48 degrees, 59 degrees, and 73 degrees. Final answer. And double check, largest angle, largest side, smallest angle, smallest side. And there we go. Okay, so we're finished, folks. So if anybody has any question, go ahead and ask it. But I'll be done in just a moment and do my last remarks. So here's the focus on 8, 9, and 10. All right. So there we go, folks. So how do I study for the final? You can just study these. You have the old exams. If you don't have the old exams, I just did them for you, right? Just look at the video from Tuesday, yesterday, and today. Today should be out, after a little while. Just study that. Don't look at anything else in the book. Don't look at the homework. Okay. Probably around 20 questions, 3 questions from each test. They don't have to be the very same questions, but similar. Okay, 3 times 6 is 18, maybe a couple more from somewhere else. Okay, 11:10 to 1:40 is our scheduled time. So you have 2.5 hours to do the final exam, and then we're done. We're finished with the course. Okay, and let me check the chat. How many points is the final? Well, whatever it said in the syllabus. I don't have it memorized because I teach so many courses. So let's see. Final exam is worth 300 points. So it's the worth of 3 tests. It says, yeah, okay. All right, and got that. Okay, and anybody else with a question? Otherwise, that's it. You should not skip the final. If you skip the final, it counts as a 0, and you probably know 0 is not very good for your average. Okay, so even if you've been getting A's all the way through, you need to take the final exam. Okay. All right, anybody else, please? Otherwise, we're done, and I'll see you on Monday. Wait just a moment in case anybody wants to ask something of your typing. Would you know your scores at the end? Yeah, I'll email you your scores and your final score and your final grade, all of that sometime, next week probably. Okay, you always are welcome to email me if you still have a question. That's fine also. All right, that's it, folks. So have a good weekend. Just study for the final and see you at 11 o'clock on Monday for the final exam. Okay, bye, everybody.